you can build something or you can buy something. When you're going out to buy something, you know what you want, sort of. How do you start valuing a company, right? Like you come from the business side of things, like how do you put a price tag? And I know you can't talk about some things, right? But this is a question that we all face because that's like an exit strategy for us. How do you start valuing a business?
And I think in our industry, it's interesting too, because it's like most shop owners are going to be like Val and I. It's like, we got into this because like we liked arts and crafts, right? Like we started with a Hobby Lobby kit. It's nothing that's original or unique, but it's the truth to most screen printing shops. Most folks are not necessarily coming in with a business plan or an exit strategy. 20 years in, we don't have an exit strategy. We just like printing. That's what we want to do. And so like having to be faced with those questions of like, what is our value? And as a print shop, you know, there's so much more that goes into it than just like the equipment that we have, right? Like the building that we have. And I think that, I don't know if you guys see this, but I see it coming, that there's going to be a lot of print shops that are folding, like, or kind of reorganizing, merging. And that's always the topic. And I'd love to hear Robert's kind of thoughts on it because he has a much more CFO-minded brain. But like that conversation is tricky and no one wants to hear that their shop has no value, you know, but it's unfortunately true.
Yeah, I think coming to the valuation is very unique. And I think a lot of it has to do with where the other shop is or the other business is and where you are and what different values you can draw from them. Something that Eric and Val did very well is they hired a lot of people in the areas they weren't good at, which helped us understand their value. So they obviously know the printing aspect, but they had Jeffrey Paul, and they have a really good controller in Christy, who really can help us gain the information about their business that maybe they can't answer. And so the way we kind of start to value it is, number one, how can it aid where we're trying to go? So if they can bring in machinery, okay, that's great. Their customer list. What does their customer list look like? Is it Houston-based? Is it nationally based? Is it in the same industries? Is it in different industries? And each of those bring in different values to us. And so if you're looking to grow in the exact same industry you're in, that's going to provide different things. Their industry is completely different than ours. That's what we wanted. We wanted somebody who has talent and can help us grow our talent, so train our staff, bring in new talent, et cetera. But also, Thrive's goal is to be pretty wide. And so with D2C, D2B, contract, Plastisol, Waterbase, digital, everything, fulfillment, automations, et cetera, we needed talent in this industry, in this area, really badly. So it provided great value for us.
Can I push even further on that in that, like, do you think about when buying another shop, and again, I like the thought of, because we were just talking about this organic growth versus growth by acquisition, is it, you know, okay, I would pay X dollars above profit, or I would pay, you know, depending on maybe what the owner wants to do, right? Obviously, you guys are very bought in, so that makes sense. Is it like calculating an earnout for retention? That's a big concern around a customer list, you know, is very attached to the previous owner. How does that conversion work? Like, how do you put all, or what are those couple characteristics to add up to an actual number look like?
Yeah, I think that it again kind of goes back to the last answer, which would be what is the value to the two brands that are having this conversation. So an earnout structure is a great way for security on both sides. It's a great way for somebody who has a customer group that they can help transition and show value. If they don't have that ability, then an earnout probably isn't a great option. And so more other different ways you're going to evaluate are really what you're going to look for.
So when you say the word earnout, what you're essentially saying is Val and Eric are going to bring their customers over to Thrive, and you're going to expect them to help retain those customers. And so they're incentivized to say, hey, we need to keep all of our customers, otherwise this ain't going to work. Because if those customers leave tomorrow, this doesn't do anything for you. And so, yeah.
That would be one of the values, right? And so obviously each shop has different relationships with their customer base. If they're really individually connected and you're older in life, then that might not have as much value as if you're 20 years old and have 50 customers who are all your best friends. They're going to provide different values.
I think what's cool about Night Owls is they embed themselves into their customers' like supply chain. So, you know, not just as a water-based printer, but they're also doing fulfillment, right? And so they're a solution. And when you become a solution for your clients, that's how your customers get really sticky and they don't leave. Because it takes a lot to offboard them, right? And so did you value the stickiness of their customers, how long their customers have been buying from them, those kind of things?
Absolutely, that's a great way of looking at it. And our shop, we have a lot of automation and a lot of fulfillment and different technologies that we can add to their customer base. So yes, to speak to that, they absolutely provided value to us in the way they are a solution. It's the structure we had set up, and so they can kind of plug into our structure with the solution they already created, and it really does match perfectly.
And so, sorry, if you're a shop thinking, okay, how am I going to sell my business 10 years from now? You want to be thinking about, you know, how embedded are my customers so that if I walk away, someone else can take this over. If you walk away and your customers walk away with you, your business has zero value, right? You have to be able to like kind of create some distance a little bit, if you will, which I think is really interesting.
And with this deal, I mean, we very much were the opposite of that, but it was very, very clear and very important to Val and I that we love what we do. We want to keep doing it. This is not hey, this is what is it, a sunset deal, right? Where we're like going off and hanging out on an island. Like
These
No,
big
you're
words
not.
you're using.
No, you're
look at me reading a business book.
Ooh, Eric MBA.
But it, it was very important to us that we were involved because again, it's like we love what we do. And when we were approached and started having these conversations with Robert and his brother Bryce and the other folks from Thrive, it was very, very much like we don't necessarily need to do this, but like there's a lot of synergies, there's a lot of opportunities to get us to levels that we will never be able to get to. And quite frankly, just taking a step back from a personal level, it's just like, well, you mean that we get to continue doing what we like, but we don't have to do what we don't like anymore? And we still get to make cool stuff? Like that seems like a winning combination for everyone. And so really we approached it from that way. But I think that like if we didn't have kind of that interest and we just wanted to walk away, I don't know if Night Owls would have been as valued. I don't think there would have been a value to it, to be honest.